Selamat datang. I'm Adler. Let's get to work. This is the 11th in a series of video presentations about Indonesian grammar. Useful. Here's an inventory of prepositions. In, on, at is di. Here are some intransitive verbs that use prepositional phrases as object-like complements. Dengan is used for certain intransitive verbs that relate to doing something with another person, such as bertemu dengan, to meet with, berbicara dengan, to speak with. Di is used for certain intransitive verbs that relate to being in a location, such as tinggal di, berdiam di, to reside or sojourn in a location. Ke is used for certain intransitive verbs that relate to destinations, such as berkunjung ke, to visit someone or a location, menyusup ke, to infiltrate into something. By contrast, ke dalam in masuk ke dalam is optional. Di is often optionally omitted in the context of figurative space. For example, ada permusuhan antara anjingku dan komodoku. There is enmity between my dog and my Komodo dragon. Di dalam are sometimes used ungrammatically instead of pada, with hari, bulan, tahun. Relative location, di plus a position, like in di atas, di bawah, on top of, below. Ke, to a location. From, dari. Here are 4 wrinkles for dari, as in from, as opposed to than. Dari cannot take bound pronouns. Dari expresses scope optionally when referencing an indefinite quantity, such as in seekor dari kawanan Komodo, one of the bank of Komodo dragons, or sepertiga dari kawanan Komodo, a third of the bank of Komodo dragons. By contrast, dari is mandatory when referencing a definite quality, as in satu dari tiga percobaan tidak buruk. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Dari di express scope for superlatives. For example, itu Komodo yang paling agresif dari daerah ini. That's the most aggressive Komodo dragon in this area. Dari can act as a clarifying ligature before a possessive noun. For example, Algojo Pasca Rose is ambiguous. It can mean the executioner Pasca Rose or the executioner of Pasca Rose. Adding dari, Algojo dari Pasca Rose, clarifies the executioner of Pasca Rose. The bound pronoun nya also does this in the context of family relationships. For example, Ibu Adler can mean Mrs. Adler or Adler's mom. Add nya and you get Ibunya Adler, Adler's mom. Verbish nouns are nominalized transitive verbs. The subject of the verb can be optionally marked with ole, and the verb can be optionally marked with terhadap, atas, or dari. For example, pembasmian oleh pemerintah atas Partai Komunis Indonesia, the government's eradication of the Indonesian Communist Party. Here are the 4 prepositions that cannot take bound pronouns. Dari, as in from, as opposed to than, kecuali seperti in TENTANG. For example, hadiah dari dia begitu buruk sampai saya lebih suka kamu darinya. His gift was so bad that I prefer you to him. To a person, kepada pada akan. Akan, pada, sama are used after many intransitive verbs to give the same meaning as the corresponding transitive meng-i verb. For example, cintai, cinta pada, to be in love with someone. As an added wrinkle, akan is mandatory after benci cinta gemar sadar, but optional for suka tahu. Towards a location is ke arah, whereas towards a person is terhadap. Dia is lewat. Time prepositions before sebelum, after sesudah, during sambil or sementara or untuk. Sambil, sementara mean at the same time, but sambil is used for one subject that performs two actions at the same time, and sementara is used for two subjects who perform actions at the same time as each other. Untuk plus time period is used to express for a period of time. Time prepositions, when, waktu, until, since, sampai sejak, dalam, within a period of, in a time period, pada, at a clock time, jam or pukul, and a calendar date, tanggal. Along with is bersama, with or by means of, dengan, without, tanpa, up to, sampai or sehingga. That, as in to think that, bawa. Untuk, supaya, bawa clauses can act as subjects. Here are two wrinkles. Unlike most subjects, these clauses usually go after the predicate. Untuk, supaya, but not bawa can be optionally omitted. For example, tidak begitu mudah menjaga Komodo. It's not that easy to take care of a Komodo dragon. Between is antara, like, seperti, bagai, bagaikan, sebagaimana, kayak, bak, laksana, ibarat. Bukan often replaces tidak before karena, untuk, and seperti. For example, anjing itu bukan untuk memberi makan Komodo. That dog is not for feeding the Komodo dragons. Jangan sometimes replaces tidak before supaya. For example, saya ingin supaya kamu jangan memberi anjing itu Komodo. I don't want you to feed that dog to the Komodo dragons. General prepositions, dan, dari, daripada, from, dari, as in to protect from, composed of, terdiri dari, made from, terbuat dari, regardless, terlepas dari, bagaimanapun, according to, menurut, based on, berdasarkan, regarding, tentang. Depending on, tergantung pada, involving, terlibat, terkait, including, termasuk, in addition to, selain, di samping, especially, terutama, except, kecuali, as a result of or therefore, itu karena, because of, karena, for, in order to, so that, untuk, in the informal bagi guna buat, demi, also supaya, agar, supaya. Untuk clauses can act as objects. Untuk is usually optional, but some verbs have a preference for the presence or absence of untuk. For example, mencoba always omits untuk, whereas memutuskan never omits untuk. Here are the three key differences between untuk and supaya. Supaya clauses can go at the beginning or the end of a sentence, whereas untuk clauses can only go at the end. Supaya clauses can use the same subject as the main clause or a different subject, whereas untuk clauses can only use the same subject. Supaya clauses optionally omit redundant subjects, whereas untuk clauses always do this. And ole, as in by, done by somebody.